Let's imagine for a moment that humans never slept. No more afternoon naps, no more weekends, just endless productivity. Sounds like a great idea, right? Well, not exactly. In this video, we'll explore what would happen if humans never slept. What would be the consequences for our bodies, minds, and society? Are you ready to find out? Let's go. First, let's clarify what sleep is and why it's important. Sleep is a state of reduced consciousness that is essential for the survival of humans and other animals. During sleep, our brains and bodies undergo a series of changes that allow us to rest, recharge, and repair ourselves. Now, these changes are controlled by a group of neurons in the brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which uses environmental cues such as light and temperature to regulate our sleep-wake cycle. This cycle, also known as the circadian rhythm, is approximately 24 hours long and helps us to synchronize our internal body clock with the external environment. But why do we need to sleep? Well, sleep serves several important functions. It helps us to conserve energy, restore our immune system, improve cognitive function, and maintain overall health. Without sleep, our bodies wouldn't be able to perform these essential functions effectively. Now let's imagine what would happen if humans never slept. The first thing that would happen is that we would die. That's right. We couldn't survive without sleep. In fact, sleep deprivation is one of the most potent stressors that we can experience. When we don't sleep, our bodies release a surge of stress hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline. These hormones can cause a variety of negative effects, including increased blood pressure, a weakened immune system, and even death. Studies have shown that sleep deprivation can lead to serious health problems such as heart disease, stroke, and diabetes. In fact, chronic sleep deprivation has been associated with an increased risk of mortality. So if we never slept, we wouldn't last very long at all. But let's assume that somehow we managed to stay awake indefinitely. What would happen next? Well, one of the first things we would notice is that our vision would become blurry. That's because our eyes need sleep to function properly. When we don't sleep, our eyelids become droopy and our eyes struggle to focus. This is because sleep helps to lubricate our eyes and keep them moist. Without sleep, our eyes would become dry and irritated, making it difficult to see clearly. In addition, sleep helps to control the amount of light that enters our eyes. When we don't sleep, our pupils would dilate and make us sensitive to bright lights. This could lead to temporary blindness if we were exposed to a very bright light source. So if we never slept, we would need to find some way to keep our eyes open and protected. But there's another problem that we would face. Our muscles would become weak. Sleep is essential for maintaining muscle strength and endurance. When we don't sleep, our muscles become fatigued and our reaction time slows down. This is because sleep helps to repair and rebuild muscle tissue. Without sleep, our muscles would waste away and we would become weaker and weaker over time. Imagine trying to perform simple tasks such as walking or carrying groceries if you never slept. It would be impossible. So if we never slept, we would need to find a way to keep our muscles strong and functional. But there's another problem that we would face. Our skin would become unhealthy. Sleep is essential for maintaining healthy skin. When we don't sleep, our skin becomes pale and puffy. This is because sleep helps to improve blood circulation and oxygen flow to the skin. Without sleep, our skin would become dry and flaky, and we would be more susceptible to skin disorders and infections. So if we never slept, we would need to find a way to keep our skin healthy and nourished. But there's another problem that we would face. Our immune system would become compromised. Sleep is essential for maintaining a strong immune system. When we don't sleep, our bodies produce fewer antibodies and white blood cells. These cells are responsible for fighting off infection and disease. Without sleep, we would become more susceptible to illnesses such as colds and flu, and even minor infections could become life-threatening. So if we never slept, we would need to find a way to keep our immune system strong and resilient. But there's another problem that we would face. Our brains would deteriorate. Sleep is essential for maintaining cognitive function and emotional well-being. When we don't sleep, our brains become foggy and our concentration and memory suffer. Without sleep, our brains would deteriorate and we would become mentally unstable. We would be unable to perform complex tasks, and even simple decisions would become challenging. So if we never slept, we would be facing some serious problems. Our bodies would be weak and unhealthy. Our brains would be foggy, and our immune system would be compromised. We would be more susceptible to illnesses and injuries, and even death. But what about society? What would happen if everyone in the world never slept? Well, the consequences would be catastrophic. Our economies would collapse, our infrastructure would crumble, and our societies would descend into chaos. The very fabric of civilization would unravel. Why? Because sleep is essential for the proper functioning of any society. When people don't sleep, they are unable to work, produce goods or services, or contribute to the common good. They become unproductive members of society. And when this happens on a large scale, society as a whole suffers. For example, imagine what would happen if all the doctors, nurses, and other healthcare workers in the world never slept. Hospitals would be unable to function, and people would die from treatable illnesses and injuries. Or consider the impact on transportation systems. If the pilots, train drivers, and other transportation workers never slept, accidents would be inevitable. The economy would grind to a halt, and trade would cease to exist. Even the most basic services such as electricity, water, and food distribution would be disrupted. In short, the entire fabric of modern society would collapse without sleep. But what if we could find a way to replace sleep? What if we could create a pill or a device that would allow us to stay awake indefinitely and still function at peak levels? Well, it's possible that such a thing may already exist. There are many people in the world who claim to have invented a sleep-inducing device that allows them to function without sleep. However, these claims have not been scientifically verified, and the devices themselves are often banned or confiscated by authorities. Some people also claim to have discovered natural methods of staying awake, such as through special diets or meditation techniques. Again, these claims are not scientifically proven and should be treated with skepticism. In conclusion, sleep is an essential part of the human experience, and it plays a critical role in maintaining our physical and mental health. It is also a key component of a functioning society. Without sleep, our bodies cannot function properly, and we become weak, sick, and mentally unstable. Without sleep, our economies and infrastructure collapse, and society descends into chaos. While it may be tempting to dream of a world where we could stay awake forever and accomplish more, the reality is that doing so would come at a great cost. The truth is that sleep is something that we cannot live without. It is an essential part of what makes us human, and it allows us to experience the world in all its beauty and wonder. So let us cherish sleep and use it wisely, for it is a gift that we should be eternally grateful for. Thank you for watching. Do you think that we could ever create a pill or a device that would allow us to stay awake indefinitely? Or are we simply not capable of doing so? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.